Hey, how you doing? It's Clayton here from howtodrawcomics.net and the How to Draw Comics Academy. And welcome to this very chill stream where I'm just going to be flatting away at a character design that we will be coloring up in a class held tomorrow in the How to Draw Comics Academy with Sean Ellery, where we'll be coloring up this character that I'm going to be flatting right now and showing you Sean's process along the way. Now, it's been a while since I've been here on the How to Draw Comics channel. And one of the reasons for that is because I'm spending most of my time in the How to Draw Comics Academy these days, doing live lessons, live feedback sessions, and of course, guest instructor sessions as well. And by guest instructor sessions, I don't mean me necessarily, but I mean other professional comic book artists and colorists and inkers coming in to basically demonstrate their specialization. So of course I get a kick out of it, but the Academy members, they get even more value out of that as well. So yeah, it's great to be back. And I'm here to chill. I've picked something so easy to do. It's a no-brainer. I don't even have to think about it. It's just flatting, right? So I'm going to show you how to color in between the lines. And at least I'll do my best to do that. So let me get the screen up here. And let's see how fancy we can get. All right, let's check this out. Check this setting. So you can see me down here in the bottom left-hand corner while I'm working. And I guess it'll make it more interactive, right? More engaging. You can see the frustration on my face as I fall outside the lines and whatnot. But yeah, this character design is in fact a demonstration that I created in the Academy for a character design workshop that we did. Went through the whole process, start to finish, developed the character, took it from a very basic, rudimentary mannequin model to a anatomy model, which then transformed into a design concept and then ultimately became a finished character concept. So there you go. Wow. Dude, James, thank you so much. My goodness. It's amazing to have you tune in here, man. I'm glad that you made it. So James says, thank you for the awesome feedback and critique session last night. Everyone should check out the How to Draw Comics Academy. On my comic art challenge piece, I actually lightboxed the drawings. Hey, that's pretty sweet, man. I love that. And thank you for the $10 donation. I really appreciate you, man. That support means the world to me. That's so cool. Yeah, so in the How to Draw Comics Academy today, we did like this massive, it was a 5-hour feedback session. And in fact, James has suggested to me, yo, like these feedback sessions are just crazy big. You got to figure out a way to manage all the work that you're getting into review. And so we have now 2 feedback sessions in the How to Draw Comics Academy each week where we go through and I go through rather and give you personalized feedback on your art, showing you what you're doing right, what can be improved upon, basically coaching you along the way so that you know what to focus on next in order to level up your art. That's essentially it. It's one of the biggest perks of being in the How to Draw Comics Academy, I think, at least according to the Academy students. That's the feeling I get anyway. And all right, but you know what? I'm going to just jump into this and get started. So yeah, I was teaching 5 hours in the Academy today, giving students feedback. And I thought, you know what? I haven't had enough of streaming live. I think that I'll jump on the YouTube channel now and do these flats. I mean, they got to get done, right? Just to help save Sean time. All right, so I'm creating a new layer here, and I'm going to call this flats. Now, the question is, am I going to separate each part of his body and place those areas onto individual layers as I flat them out? You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called flats, just in case. And within that folder, I'm going to place that layer. And by the way, feel free to drop me any questions you might have in the chat. Chat away. Look, I'm going to get it up over here on my other screen. All right, there we go. Boom. How good is that? So now, if you do decide to shoot me a message, I'm going to see it over here. So say hello, drop a like on the video if you're getting some value out of it, if you like seeing my face. And look, I might do more of these. Who knows? What are you working on right now? Are you working on something interesting? Maybe an illustration of your own? So we'll really in this layer, and I'm just going to call this, let's call this skin tone. Let's call this skin. All right, we'll tackle his skin first. I'm just going to go through each one of these representations of the character and flat them out with their base color. So for the skin, I'm going to go for something, well, see, with base colors, what you typically want to do is you want to make it, oh, you can't see what I'm selecting here. Look, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to share this screen properly so that you can see everything I'm actually doing on it. Always a risky thing. Always a risky thing when it comes to live streaming. Hopefully nothing crazy pops up on this screen randomly. But yeah, I'm sharing the whole screen now. So if I go ahead and I select this little number right here, look, there you go. You can see it. Done. Beautiful. So for the skin tone, what should we pick? It's been a while since I've flatted anything. Now, these colors probably aren't going to be the colors that Sean wants to go with, but we got to lay something down, right? And what we're looking for the base tone is something that's not too light, not too dark, kind of, just a muted skin tone. Something in between light and dark, such as this. And we're going to go for a bit more of a pink pigment maybe, as opposed to a yellow. We can adjust it on the fly as we go. If we don't like it, we can always change things up later on down the track. Let's just do this. Look at that. Dropping it down. And if you want to make sure you're coloring in between the lines, all you got to do is zoom in and get him nicely framed up. I'm a guy who cares about the aesthetics. Alrighty. So, coloring in those ears. Exciting stuff, boys and girls, men and women. I'm using a hard brush here, a hard edged brush, probably more accurately. But I'm going in there and I'm just filling out these areas. It's actually pretty fun. I mean, I don't know why I decided to learn how to draw comics when I could just be a flatter. That would have been a much more straightforward career path. Wouldn't have to pull my hair out all the time. I got a lot of practice with flatting when I was young in the coloring in books that I filled in. All right, James. Yeah, thank you so much. James says, please share the link for Clayton's video. Yeah, do that. Please do. I appreciate you, James. You're the best. James really is one of the biggest supporters of How to Draw Comics and the How to Draw Comics Academy. He's been with us for a while. And boy, oh boy, has his artwork just transformed. It's been amazing to watch him grow and all the other artists as well. There's nothing more rewarding as a teacher than to see actual progress, to know that the stuff you're teaching is actually worth a damn, that it's doing something for the students. All right, so we've got his face colored in there, and I'm going to go through, and all the skin areas, I'm going to fill in with the skin tone. Look at that. I've actually gone over the lines there. Whoops. See that rendering going into his massive bicep? Yikes. Should have been a little neater, but that's okay. No one notices this stuff except for you, the artist, unless it's really bad. If it's a proportional blunder of some kind, like a foundational issue, yeah, that's when people really start to trip out and notice that there's all sorts of things up with your art. So you got to get those foundations sorted, right? The thing is that people know how people in reality should be proportioned. And if they detour away too much from that stock standard measurement model that we've come up with for proportions, well, they start to look a little bit deformed, you know? You can imagine if you're born with like really tiny chicken wing arms, it'll look kind of weird, right? Because why? Mainly not because of your chicken wings, they're fine, but it just wouldn't be the stock standard proportions, and so onlookers would kind of, it would throw them off a little bit. Same thing happens with your characters. If the proportions are off, it just throws the audience off somewhat, and they're like, wow, there's something up with that. And the worst thing about it is that if your proportions are messed up, then it means everything else is going to be messed up too. It means the anatomy is going to be out of whack. This beautiful design that we've given him, all those pretty, that pretty wardrobe that he's wearing, guess what? Out of proportion, out of whack. People still notice. Same goes for, so proportions is a big one. Then pose is another big one. If your pose is all janky, looks broken, like it's impossible for somebody to actually get into it, there's not enough energy behind it, if it looks stiff, then yeah, people are going to pick up on it, sadly, sorry to say. But it's always the things that we really worry about most that no one ever actually notices, like those fine-tuned details that you only ever have to add in at the end. It's like worrying about the icing instead of the cake itself. Let's take a look here. We have got coloring pages. Wonderful to see you here, coloring pages. You have to excuse me. I'm going to slow my words a little bit throughout this stream because it's, what is it? It's like 11:13 p.m. Probably should be in bed. I'm here flatting instead. What can I say? So you'll have to forgive me if I start talking crazy at this time of night. Coloring Pages says, hey, Clayton, Donnie here. Great to see you, Donnie. Glad to be watching you do art. Absolutely love your style. Yeah, sadly I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just flatting away here, but it's nice and it's relaxing. Thanks so much for being here, Donnie. All right. Anas says, why aren't you using Paint Bucket and then just fix the gaps? Won't that be faster? By the way, love your art. It could be faster, Anas. I don't know. Maybe I'm making my life harder than it needs to be. I usually do that. But I guess because this feels more thorough to me, maybe that could be it. James says, Clayton, are you using stylus or a mouse when you do the flats? I'm using a stylus right here. See that? It's an old school stylus as well. It's from the, look how messed up this stylus is, how long I've been using it for. Like the grip is actually wearing away. This is probably about 20 years old. Well, I'm over-exaggerating there. It's probably not 20 years old. How old am I? I think it's like 15 years old, maybe. So it's the Wacom Intuos 3 is what I'm using here. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. Where's your hair? Man, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I turned 30 and had a kid, and it's like someone hit the fast forward button on my aging process. I lost my hair, and the hair that I still had left went gray. So I don't know if I was just working too hard or I hit a new level of maturity. Who knows? But I started aging rapidly. Luckily, it's not like I don't look terrible as a bald man. I'm lucky that I have a fairly well-shaped head for baldness. Thank goodness. Being in front of the camera and all. Hey, what's up, Unintelligent Design? Great to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Stop crying about being tired and flat, I say. I'm not even tired, bro. Look, I got a coffee. I don't even need to sleep. I think sleeping is a scam. I think they tell you to go to bed earlier and get a full 8 hours of sleep because they're just trying to cut your hustle down. They don't want you hustling that hard. Ah, yeah, it's Liam. I should have recognized his logo. Welcome, Liam. Wonderful to see you here. I hope things are good for you, buddy. Rodline says, I have that same one and I can't find any replacement tips for it. That sucks. Try to look on eBay. It's a pretty old, like it's a relic now, man. I've actually got two of them, believe it or not. I got another one out at my other table. All right. Liam says, yeah, I love Clayton. I'm glad you shared the video, Arcadian. Yeah. Thanks so much, James. We really appreciate you. Into his 3. Yep. Into his 3. That's the one. I'm an old timer. An oldie but a goldie. Totally. Yeah, it is a scam. I actually genuinely believe there's a conspiracy out there to make us sleep more and be awake less. All right. Colco says, Clayton, my man, I just scanned my mini comics pages and getting ready to redefine ink and edit it. And it's all thanks to your post about laziness. I started fixing my attitude on drawing actual comics. Wow, that is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it just makes me realize, damn, whenever I'm hesitant about putting those posts out, I should just get over it and put them out anyway, because they actually do help people. So thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm just so glad that you were able to get your butt into gear and make it happen for yourself. Laziness, it's something that grabs me by surprise as well. Thank you, Jesus Lord. Good morning. Praise the Lord. Another day. Another beautiful day. Oh, yeah, it is. It's beautiful. It's beautiful up in here. Well, I'm not sharing the screen anymore. There we go. We're back. Whoops. No one wants to just sit there looking at my face. It's not my choice. They want to see cool stuff get flatted. I'm flattening this drawing right now. And this is a style that I work in sometimes, this more clean cut looking style. And I kind of dig it, being a Dragon Ball Z fan and a fan of Michael Turner and J. Scott Campbell. And I know I'm doing all the wrong things right now. Like I've got aliasationing turned on with this brush. And what that basically means is that it's not exactly 100% hard edged. It's still a little bit blurred around the outside, because that looks prettier than pixelated, than the pixelated outskirts of a brush. So I like to use it. But, the professional colorists out there, like I know tomorrow in the lesson that we're doing with Sean, he's going to call me out for it. He loves calling me. We kind of have this thing going on where he gives me a little bit of shit and I take it. But no, he's a talented colorist. I love Sean and the work that he does. And I'm just so happy that he's decided to do a class. Well, actually, this will be the second class he's done inside the How to Draw Comics Academy. And I feel like he actually does work with a mouse, right? Yeah, he does this amazing coloring, comic book style, like from the 90s, with a mouse. It's nuts. I can't even believe it. I don't know how he does it. I used to do it that way too before I discovered the Wacom Intuos 3. And I used to do full digital paintings with the mouse. But I wouldn't be able to do it now. Not now that I've weakened my digital illustration muscles with a tablet. But Sean, man, he's old school. He's still at it with the mouse and the grad tool. And you know what? That kind of knowledge and expertise, my philosophy is that needs to be preserved because it's dying out. Like there's not a lot of colorists that work in that way anymore. And I think when it comes to coloring comic books, it's the best way to work because it just works so well with that graphic look that the inked contours of the art already has. Works beautifully. And Sean knows how to pull it off with absolute prestigeness. He knows how to execute it with a great level of expertise that I rarely ever see anymore. So I really want to make sure that we've cataloged his knowledge, that we've got it stored away in that Academy vault. Because, the generations of artists to come, then there's going to be no one around to teach it to them otherwise. A lot of those artists from the image era, colorists and inkers, and also pencilers I'm talking about, they retired. They went into something else, but especially the colorists. I remember reaching out to a colorist that worked on, I think it's like one of the Witchblade comic books or the Spawn comics, one of them, right? From back in the day, back in the either early 2000s or in the actual 90s, when digital coloring was really just starting to take off and they were figuring out their workflows. And I wondered where this guy was at. I actually wanted him to teach me some of his old school techniques back when we were working on Kozor. And you know what? He was like some kind of event organizer now. He'd completely retired. And when I reached out to him, he just said, I don't really do that stuff anymore. And he, no joke, had an impeccable ability to color back in the day. Like I said, I just don't see it around anymore. What I do see when it comes to comic book coloring is like dodgy, rushed looking, painterly aesthetic that just completely clashes with the clean cut line art aesthetic. Like you can't marry those two together. It's either going to be a painting or it's going to be a graphic looking line art illustration that's colored in a slick comic book from the 90s style. Or half-toned, like in a manga, right? That works. That's an established style that just seems to mesh well together. That's not to say I don't think you can't have a more painted look to the coloring of your comic book art. I just think, man, in order to pull that off, you've got to be very, very good at what you do. And 98% of the colorists out there work in that game. They ain't pulling it off very well, in my opinion. We got to get back to that cut and grad, and we got to do it well. We got to do it beautifully. Like I said, Sean does it the best, really, one of the best I've seen. So thank you, Sean, for teaching us your wisdom. We appreciate you. All right, there you go. This guy's got a bit of a tan going on. He looks like he's got a bit more pigment in his skin than I'm actually intending him to have, but again, that's just because this is a halfway tone between the lightest version of his skin and the darkest version of his skin, because you want to give the colorist room to move between those light and dark values. There we go. Now, as I said, there's probably a faster way to do this. I got no idea. I do it wrong because I'm mostly not a colorist, at least not anymore. I think you gotta find your lane in this business. I know that most comic book pencilers ink their own work now, which I think can be a good thing. I know for me, I prefer to lay down the final inks of my art just because I got a specific aesthetic that I want to go after and I want it to look a certain way. But man, coloring on top of that and actually being competent at it, even though I'm a pretty good colorist, I don't want to focus on that. Like that's more RAM that I've got to take away from, like mental RAM that I've got to take away from being a good penciler or a good inker. Oh, wow, this is cool. James says, Clayton, I know these chats are sidetracking you, but something strange started happening to me. I am now dreaming about my drawings and the next steps I want to take with them. Is that abnormal? Oh my goodness. I think that's super cool. And James, I feel like I hate to sound like I'm talking up the academy too much here, but one thing about it that I think it does is that it engages you, right? It does get your mind on the frequency of drawing, learning how to draw, being on the path to becoming a better artist. Because we're doing these live lessons each and every week, right? And you're getting feedback on them from me direct. You're getting feedback on your work as you apply what you're learning from those lessons from me directly. So it's not like it's only happening once. It's happening all the time, week in and week out. So of course, it's going to be on your mind. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be one of those things that you're focused on. It's not to compare something so amazing as your passion to work, but it is kind of like your day job. Like you would dream about work because you do it every day. You dream about your family and your friends because you see them all the time. So what it is you do the most, you're going to be dreaming about. And well, the scientists say that dreaming is a really good thing because it helps us to sort through the thoughts and the things that we learn each and every day. So hopefully that's a good sign that your brain is processing this stuff, James, and actually collecting that information, storing it away in the right way, and making you a better artist. Yeah, they say you can't learn anything. You can't really retain any information if you are underslept. Again, could be a conspiracy that they're just telling us, but that's what they say. Which could explain a few why I'm so forgetful. All right, so next up, we're going to tackle his hair. So we'll zoom in here. Make sure that we're nice and close. Never accidentally flat on your background layer. Always create a new layer for each area that you're flatting. And keep on going through some comments here. I don't want to ignore anybody. All the Caden stuff you've seen from me is with a mouse. That's sweet as, Liam. Heck yeah, old school. Liam says, I don't even know where the hell I can buy a tablet or anything here in Australia, so I've been using a mouse. I don't like getting electronics online. Always screwed me. Well, I get everything from Amazon most of the time, and they turn up, and Amazon, they want to make sure the customer is satisfied. So usually they treat you pretty well. And if you're a Prime member of Amazon, by the way, not affiliated with them, so I'm just saying this based on my experience. The thing I love about Amazon is their next day delivery, because if you're a Prime member, if you order something now, they'll bring it tomorrow. I love it. It's really convenient for me. But that's probably where I'd go to grab a tablet at this point in time. Either that, or you got JB Hi-Fi here in Australia. PC Case Gear is another place that I'm looking at to get electronics and stuff. All right. Speaking of dyeing art, do you ever color your art with alcohol markers or colored pencils? No, I don't. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say. I wish I knew how. I wish I knew how to do it right. James says, Liam, it was interesting hearing you describe the last Comic-Con you went to in Australia. Being in New York City, it is hard to imagine not having an abundance of comics at the shops. Yeah, it's super weird, actually, James. It depends on whether or not you live in a big city like Melbourne, for example. They have some pretty big cons here. Now, what color should we do this guy's hair? Red. I'm just going to quickly pick out a color for him before we move on to some more comments here. Yeah, I know. It's nuts, Dean. I don't know. I don't know why I'm here. But I thought, well, I'll tell you actually. All right, it's story time now. It's story time. So the reason that I decided to actually do a stream, because this is weird, right? It's weird for me to be streaming right now. Even after many years of drawing in front of a class and teaching people how to do this stuff online, even after years of doing that, I still get cold feet when I hit that live button. And I never feel like I'm competent at what it is I'm doing, especially when it comes to presenting. I hate pretty much all the classes that I put out. I'm sorry to say that in front of my students, but I'm never satisfied with them. That's why I have to do many of them live, because if I don't do them live, they never happen, right? The thing is that they actually help people. And I look back over them afterwards, and most of the time, like, it's not that bad, actually. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Like, it gets better over time. And if I compare some of the classes that I do to some of the other classes that are out there, I'm like, oh, yeah, actually, my stuff isn't that bad. So I actually have to compare it to other people to settle down and realize, yo, Clayton, you're doing an okay job. Don't beat yourself up so much. And so what I'm doing here tonight is a little bit of exposure therapy. I'm trying to shake the idea that going live and talking, narrating as I work is a big deal. In fact, I want to do this so much that it becomes like second nature to me. And I'm wondering if that's even possible for me to be able to do that, because I'm a natural introvert. Man, if I could just sit in a room and not talk, and draw instead, that's a wonderful thing for me. And now the weird thing is that I actually like being around people. I just like it when they do all the talking more. Okay, like if I'm called upon to talk and have a conversation, get a conversation going, that's not my forte. And I actually have to put in effort for something like that. It doesn't come naturally to me. And I always second guess myself when I'm in a conversation like that. And I just think that I sound, I don't know, like inept. But I will admit that, of course, after teaching both in the classroom for more than half a decade and then actually doing all these classes, like I've been doing classes every single week in the academy for almost an entire year now. We're coming up on a year. So I do notice that I've made progress in my ability to express and my confidence and my charisma in front of the camera. But still, if I have a few days off where I'm, getting stuck into the editing and I'm not really doing a show or in front of people talking, I get nervous. I kind of get a little bit freaked out in my head before I hit the live button. So that's why I'm here, just biting the bullet and acting like it ain't no thing. All right. That's why I decided to do it. I thought, well, flatting, it doesn't require me to really be super focused on what I'm doing. It's kind of one of those activities where you can talk and work at the same time. I'm probably not getting through it as fast as I would like to, because that's the other thing, is that even though I say I have trouble kind of like speaking and it makes me feel uncomfortable, not to say that I have trouble and that I'm bad at it, not in that sense. It's more like getting into the speaking mode. Like I'm okay at it when I'm actually interacting with people and when I'm teaching something. I never think that I'm doing a good job during the process of actually doing it. But I'm okay. I'm okay. It just isn't something I feel super comfortable with. Like, or maybe even as I was saying, for some reason, I still put myself in front of a camera, and there's something that I like about that. And once you get me talking, just ask anybody that I end up on a stream with, or ask my students, when they've been sitting there for like 2 hours into a class, once I get talking, it's pretty hard to get me to shut up. That's the weird thing. Like, what is that? Someone make it make sense. Explain that to me. Because I'm doing more talking than actual flatting here, I feel like. Right? I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those peculiar things where clearly I talk myself out of it. And I think that your beliefs as a person are so important. They're either going to strengthen you or they're going to weaken you in a big way. And one of the things that I was telling myself today, as I amped myself up to do a 5-hour live feedback and critique session, is I was telling myself, yo, Clayton, you paid your dues. You should be a professional at this now. You should be competent at being able to talk and teach in front of an audience. Because you've been doing it for years. Like, there would be something seriously wrong with you if you hadn't actually become decent at it by this point. So after I started taking myself seriously as a professional, I felt a little bit more confident. I think it's also an energy thing. Like, I run out of steam pretty quickly, and I might start off enthusiastic. Like, I'm pretty enthusiastic right now. I don't know how or why at this time of night. I didn't think I would be, but here we are. But look, I can tell you what, if this goes on more than 2 or 3 hours, I'm going to be absolutely wrecked. I'll be saying stuff and it won't be making any sense, or at least it'll be making less sense than it is now. So, yeah, there you go. Secrets revealed. Clayton actually, if you ask him, he ain't that crash hot at what he does. Well, doesn't feel that crash hot at what he does, but I think that that's probably how every artist feels, right? Every artist worth their salt. It's what keeps pushing them forward. Is they're never really satisfied with what they're doing. But my plan here is to just do more live streams, do more live lessons in the academy, more live feedback sessions, and I want to do it so much. I heard this great video. I think it was maybe Alex or Mosey. I listen to a lot of entrepreneurial business people videos because that stuff interests me. It's kind of like an artwork, many puzzles to figure out when you're running a business. Keeps you pretty engaged. But one of those guys, those entrepreneurial types, was saying, do whatever it is you're not confident in doing so much that eventually it just becomes like you get so good at it and you do it so often that it becomes boring, right? Now, I don't necessarily want it to become boring. I don't think it'll ever become boring to me. But I would like to be as comfortable at speaking and teaching as I am at drawing. Ed Foychuk, you guys know Ed. He got me to post up a feedback session that he recently did for the winners or the contestants of the latest challenge that we ran inside the How to Draw Comics community on Facebook. Now, Ed, he doesn't even watch his lessons back. Now, and most of the time I don't watch my lessons back anymore either because they go on for like 4 hours. Yeah, I like to deliver on the value. But yeah, Ed he doesn't worry about it at all. He doesn't even need to watch them back or, he doesn't stress over them. And I'm like, man, and Ed's so good as well as a teacher. Like he's just got that natural charisma going on. Unless I really switch it on and I put in some effort, man, I'm the silent guy sitting in a corner at most gatherings. But I can also be the loudest, most enthusiastic and over-the-top guy if I set out to be that. That's the thing. It just takes effort, like I said, and I run out of energy after a while. Especially as I've gotten older, I find that seems to be the case. I have a bit of a silly side to me. So I get into a bit of a silly mode if I feel like I got to switch on my socials. And that's what gives me the energy to keep on going, because I don't take things too seriously then. Now, after I do this guy's hair, I'll jump back to the comments here and touch base with everybody. But yeah, that's my story, Dean. That's why I'm here, flatting away. I know it's such a rare occasion to actually see me live on YouTube anymore. And every single day, like, man, I got to get more content out on YouTube. I got to market myself. I got to actually tell people about what the heck I've been doing. But there's just no time. There is just no time. It's kind of nuts. I need to clone myself. I really do. By the way, if you're wondering, I'm just working in Photoshop here. I know that there's, the kids are using Procreate these days, and there's probably a bunch of other applications out there that are way better than Photoshop that I don't even know anything about. Photoshop's trying to get its AI game on now, so a bunch of artists have boycotted it. Luckily, I'm using a version that doesn't have any AI, isn't capable of any AI shenanigans, which I'm perfectly fine with. Man, this AI stuff, it scares me. I don't know what to think about it. It both amazes me and scares the heck out of me at the same time. There are definitely days where I look at some of the AI art that's been generated. I'm like, wow, why do I bother? Like, they're just kicking our butts right now. But then I remember what the value of art actually is. It's never been the art itself necessarily. It's always been the artist, right? Like, what makes a Picasso work worth anything is the name of Picasso. Like, I could do a perfect replica of Picasso's work, and it would be worthless. So, artists, if you want to stand a chance in the brave new world that we live in with AI, get online, get your YouTube channel happening, do exactly what you're seeing me do here, which is, show people your process, let them in on what you're doing, make them a part of the journey. It's what people want at the end of the day. They want connection. They don't just want the final outcome. They actually want to be a part of the creative process. And that's what makes them feel way more connected to your art than they ever will be to let's admit it, a great looking image that just really is generated at the click of a button. Yeah, there's no denying, man. They got that hand problem sorted out that they used to have, the AI artists. Man, it's like, I don't know. It like I said, I'm a tech dude. I can appreciate advancements in tech. I think that it's really amazing what has been achieved. I just don't know what the repercussions are going to be. Like, it's kind of nuts. Not just with art either. It's actually movies and film and everything. Let's see what's been happening in the chat. I'm just going to scroll down a bit more here. Okay. Liam says, it's my birthday in a couple of hours. I am going to bail, but hit me up. I'd like to talk to you sometime about work-related stuff. Been overdue. Peace. No worries, Liam. Happy birthday for today. Congratulations, my friend. All right. Madison says, how to draw a comic without stressing or having self-doubt that it will work, or if it done well. I just need advice. This is my first time creating a comic with my own designs. Hey, Giovanni, great to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Glad that you made it. Giovanni is another student that we have in the How to Draw Comics Academy. So this is awesome to see people's faces pop up in here. And don't worry, I'll answer your question in just a moment, Madison. Dean says, I hate that they even call themselves artists. They're not artists. No, they're like button clickers, really, aren't they? Mighty Magic says, hey, Clayton, are you still working with Corey? At the moment, we're not really working on any projects together. He's kind of got his commission thing going on. I've got my thing with the academy happening, and our paths cross from time to time. Like, I want him to do a class in the How to Draw Comics Academy, and sometimes I get him to like color my stuff up. But he's kind of doing his thing at the moment, working on Andromenoids. I'm doing my thing, and the comic book projects that we have in the works they're being put on the back burner while we tackle more urgent and important matters, you could say, within our daily job lives. But we still want to get them underway for sure, no doubt about it. Hey, how you doing? Genuine Comics says it could be that security is the sign of creators who want to grow. Insecurity. I see so many creators who are pretty confident and they stay in the same place. Yeah, it's not a good thing if you're overconfident but you're undercompetent. Galen, what's up? Great to see you here. We're very glad that you made it. Appreciate you tuning in. Galen says, hi, I'm 41 years old with a degree in biology, physics, and want to make a big change in illustration. I am a vet and get free college. That's pretty sweet. Any advice on colleges I can go to? Oh, Galen, man, you can learn this stuff online. Hey, I recommend jumping into the How to Draw Comics Academy. Would be the best bet, because the thing is that look, I'm gonna talk and flat here. And don't worry, I'm going to get to everybody's comments in a bit. I just want to make sure I get through this flatting. But let's talk about art colleges for just a second while I do his eyebrows. So I went to university and I studied video games design, multimedia, and in that particular course, there was a concept art course. There was a concept art class. There was a level design class. There was like an actual game design class where you would design your own game and pitch it. 3D modeling class. And let me tell you something. The teachers, they kind of knew what they were talking about, but they didn't really need to, right? They weren't talented, but they knew their stuff enough to be able to teach you the applications that you needed to use. But they weren't pros. Some of them were, but the thing is that even the pros didn't necessarily know how to teach properly. Now, I actually ended up teaching in that class, in that course, and I taught multiple areas within video games, such as level design and 3D modeling. Really love 3D modeling. I was a big fan of that. And, I was kind of a rarity. I hate to toot my own horn, but the thing is that I was really passionate about what I was teaching, so I got very, very good. And one of the ways in which I got good is during the course, I actually went out there and I just did my own research and learned from other instructors online. And back then they had the Gnomon Workshop. And the Gnomon Workshop is still around right now. And if you Google it, it's a subscription with just a bunch of courses on there. And one of the courses that they had back in the day was a couple by David Finch. And I did those courses and they taught me so much of what I know now. I just practiced exactly what he told me to practice in the course. And I think that one of the reasons as to why colleges might have an advantage is because they do have that engagement factor where you've got to go to class each day. And you've got other people there who are interested in the same stuff that you're studying, who become your friends and your comrades essentially, and you're learning together. And that's one of the reasons as to why I built a community into the How to Draw Comics Academy, because I knew for people to really engage with their learning, they need that. Like, unfortunately, in this day and age where you've got so many things trying to steal your attention away from what actually matters, social media and, man, just the internet in general, you need that extra encouragement to actually stay with what it is you're trying to learn. And let me tell you, when you've got people there who are giving you props for the work that you're posting into a community, giving you advice, wanting the best for you, and you start to recognize some of the faces in that community and they become your friends, they inspire you with their art, you start to see them progressing and growing, that gets you on that frequency that I was talking about with James just before, where you start thinking about your art again, like 24/7, and you actually want to be there. You actually want to put the time into study. You don't find excuses as to why you can't sit down at the drawing table. You push yourself and you set everything else aside in order to actually do it. And I know that the students in the How to Draw Comics Academy who absolutely, they grind out whatever illustration they're on and they get it done before the next feedback session so that they can get that immediate feedback on their art and do what needs to be done in order for them to progress. So I think that a place like the How to Draw Comics Academy offers that sort of encouragement to engage with your craft, just in the same way as you would expect to feel when you're actually enrolling in one of these courses that costs, man, like tens of thousands of dollars to enroll in. I'm not saying you got to go for the How to Draw Comics Academy. Just pick a course online that you know is good. Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm a big fan of Proco. I think that his courses are freaking polished as, and that you're going to learn a ton from them. The thing is with those on-demand courses is that you actually have to make sure that you sit down and do them. And if you sit down and do them, just like I did the David Finch courses back in the day on the Gnome One workshop, and you put in the work and you practice what is being taught in those classes, you will get good. You truly will. So I wouldn't even waste your money on university courses or colleges anymore. Like I said, I worked as an instructor in the games course at Victoria University, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm going to dish the dirt on these places right now. All they care about is passing students. Doesn't even matter if they're competent. In fact, I was sitting in a meeting one day, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because they actually told me that I had to pass students that I was going to fail. Like, they forced me to pass them and they weren't competent. And the reason that they wanted me to pass them is just so that they could get more funding from the government. So there you have it. And I thought that was just terrible and ridiculous, because that absolutely just destroys the industry when that happens, because you end up finding that there's incompetent students coming out of these courses, and the studios that were hiring students from those courses, they no longer do, because the courses gain a reputation for putting out students that aren't good at what the job is asking for. So, well, get good at your craft. That become a pro, become a freaking master, become the best that there absolutely is. Because I'll tell you something, nobody's going to give you a handout. I mean, look, actually, let me correct myself on that. Some people will give you a handout and hire you very cheaply. So they'll give you a really cheap handout because they don't actually care about how good the work is. They just care about hiring somebody who's dirt cheap, that they can get to produce something and then try and sell it. But if you're one of those creators who hire cheap artists who can't actually draw properly, guess what? You're not going to sell your comic book either, right? Because people, your customers, the readers, they know what quality looks like. And you have to remember that comic books are a visual medium, right? And being a visual medium, comic book readers, they're going to look at the visuals first in order to figure out, make a decision whether or not they're going to buy your book. And if it looks like trash, then they're probably going to like just leave it on the table. That's some hard truths there. Think of your art as great marketing. I mean, it sells itself if it looks good. Oh, wow. Great to see so many people jumping into the chat here. Thanks so much for joining me. Big hello to everybody. It's amazing to have you. Really do appreciate you. Giovanni says, I've been in the academy for a few months. It's really helped me take the next step forward with my art. Thanks so much, Giovanni. I really do appreciate you just saying that, and I'm glad to hear it. Galen says, is it enough to get good and not getting the degree for applying for jobs? Yeah, if you are an artist, nobody cares about your degree. They care about your portfolio. Like if you become a really good artist and you are applying for jobs at movie studios and game studios and comic book studios, and you're applying for jobs with private clients, yeah, you don't need a degree. People, they don't care about the degree. I've never been asked for a certificate in any job that I've worked in the video game industry, in the comic book industry. Never been asked for a qualification. The only place I've been asked for a qualification is teaching. And they made me do that qualification so many times, I decided to just quit altogether and start my own my own school for comic book artists online. So you only need degrees and certifications for things that require them, like if you're a doctor, for example, or a dentist, or a lawyer. James says, Clayton, I just tried sharing the link for the How to Draw Comics Academy, but I don't think because I'm not. Right, gotcha. I'll wrench you right now. How do I wrench you here? I'll have to jump onto YouTube to do that. Let me go ahead and do that. All right. You will be a wrench in 3, 2, 1. Add as moderator. Done. What? It's got options here for moderating. Managing moderator can manage block words and change chat modes in live. And okay, sweet. Well, I trust you, James. Don't do anything crazy. You don't seem like a crazy person, so I don't think you will. So I'm just going to say that you're a managing moderator instead of a standard moderator. How about that? So you're in the inner circle now, James. Leonardo says, welcome, Leonardo. Great to see you here. Leonardo says, comic colorist here. Lately, projects have slowed down. What do you think is better, getting noticed by editors or by artists? Both. Post your artwork online, build up your social media, and people are just going to notice. Post your artwork into communities and groups on Facebook and I guess Instagram and X. X has communities now, I think, as well. Also, even LinkedIn. I've been starting to post on LinkedIn myself. And if your coloring is good, you will get hired. If you're not getting hired, make your coloring better. That's the truth of the matter. People will reach out to you once you're at a level where you are hireable. You'll be in demand, essentially, as long as you're putting your work out there in front of them. I'm sure you're a great colorist too, by the way. I haven't seen your work, but that's just what I'm going to tell you objectively speaking. I'll say that to colorists and inkers and pencilers too. So James says, Clayton, I backed John Malin's Godlike too. Are you also working on that book? I backed, so I get the supplemental book as well as the main book. I don't think so, actually, James. I might be doing I think, I don't want to speak too soon, but I think that John said that he was going to chat with me and Corey about potentially doing some artwork for it, either a color, either a cover or a pinup. There you go. I must be getting tired. Must be getting late. I'm already jumbling my words up. Okay. Justin Crafter says, I've seen people use it like that. Yeah. So he says, what if one uses AI to create references for your designs? I think that's a good idea, honestly. I think that's actually a viable way to use it, because you're going to be copying from references either way, right? And if you can use AI to create a more unique reference that doesn't already exist, then it makes sense to me. That's just my personal opinion, though. Some people might hate me for that, but I do see it as one way of creating or using AI as a utility. Galen says, these are potential schools. Oh yeah, tons of them. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Galen. I appreciate that. Yeah, Cube Brush is great. Awesome stuff. So I want to answer this question right here. How do you draw a comic without stressing or having self-doubt that it will work, or if it's done well? So we'll talk about that. Judge Denny says, join the How to Draw Comics Academy or join the Academy of Judges like I did. Sweet. Thank you so much for joining the How to Draw Comics Academy. I appreciate you. Yeah, the How to Draw Comics Academy, man, there's a reason I'm in there all the time. It's because I love it. It's just a great place to be. I love teaching. I enjoy hanging out with the students in there and seeing their work. One thing that we've started doing once a week is we actually have a big drawing jam together where me and the students catch up on a live stream like this, but I actually invite them on to hang out, and we draw based upon a prompt that I put out there. In our last one, it was animal themed superheroes, and it was just so fun to kick back and chat. I explain my process along the way, and I teach them how I'm doing it, but it's a lot more laid back and relaxed. Okay, so I'm going to call this costuming 1. Let's do that. And we're going to tackle his shirt. What should we make his shirt? I'm thinking something that complements that red. How about we go for this blue here? Yeah, that'll look good, actually. Maybe a darker blue. Something like that. Add a bit more of a blue hue to it. Done. Yeah, the drawing jams are so fun. I've been loving those big time. And it's just a great way for us to set aside some time throughout the week, no matter what else we've got on, no matter what else we've been doing or how busy we are, we set aside that time at least once a week to catch up and draw together. Just draw something fun. It's one of my favorite sessions that we do in the How to Draw Comics Academy. So let me talk about stressing about your art and worrying whether or not it's turning out okay. I actually think that that's a good thing. That's a good mechanism to have, especially early on and even later as you become an advanced artist. Like, you should be a bit skeptical of your work in order to ensure that you're always pushing yourself to be at the best, to make it the best that it can be. Think about it this way: if you're always satisfied with your art and you think that it's going well and that there's nothing that really needs to be done in order for it to be better, then you'll be stuck at whatever level that it's at, whatever level you think it's good to go on. But if you're never satisfied with it, or at least it's hard for you to be satisfied with it, then you are going to go to the greatest lengths in order to ensure that it is the best that it can be. So I think that it's good to actually come at your art with that attitude. That's me personally. And some artists will say, well, just be chill, like don't stress about it. You should have fun first and foremost. And I do agree with that. But guess what? That fun can come later once you're actually good at what it is you do. And I know that might sound really pompous of me to say, but I'll tell you, all I can speak upon is based on my own experience. And my experience was that in the early days, I stressed like heck about every line I was laying down, and I still do. I'm still very picky about the lines that I lay down, and just ask my students when I'm doing a demonstration. I will sit there and I will sculpt the heck out of a line until it's the absolute perfect shape that it needs to be in order to describe the area that I'm working on within an illustration. The difference now is, though, that I have fun. And I feel like I have way more control over what it is I want to see on the page and what it is I'm going after. And so I think, in other words, that the investment and the stress that you go through early on in order to get something perfect, it pays off in the end, because you get to a place where you're able to create really great looking art, and it is within your nature, it's within your process to tweak things to the point where, and it just happens very naturally on the fly for me now. It's fast, it's quick, and it just carves your artwork into a freaking awesome piece, the best piece that you're capable of creating every time. And because you're so used to not cutting corners, it happens just without you even having to think about it. So I think practice in that way, have that mindset. You'll hear people say, just get it done, not perfect. And I think that attitude has really polluted a lot of artists' head out there. Put in 80% and the rest doesn't really matter. But you know what? There's a sea of mediocre artists out there. There's plenty of them, trust me, especially with the advent of AI art. There's a lot of imagery out there, right? And if you want to stand out, then you've got to be doing exceptional things. You're going to be the exception. You got to have an exceptional process when it comes to the creation of your work. And the thing is that while there's artists walking around out there with this idea of getting it done, not perfect, in their brain, you don't have to do much to have an edge over them. You just got to put in an effort. And your artwork, I guarantee you, will get further ahead than theirs will. My attitude is that I like the idea of doing things with my art that no other artist would have the patience to do. And I feel like that allows you to pull off, that gives you a massive advantage, I think. And look, I'll be very honest with you right now. A lot of the commissions I do, there's a reason I'm an entrepreneur who started my own business, because I just work too slowly to actually make a decent amount of money on commissions. And so the commissions that I do take on, I take them on because I'm passionate about about the project that I've decided to be a part of. And I do the best work that I possibly can, no matter how long it takes or how much I'm being paid on it. And man, I take great pride in that. Like, that is worth more to me than any amount of money ever. That's my personal attitude toward it, though. And it might not make sense to a lot of people out there. It might be impractical. But heck, I mean, as an artist, you kind of have to be a businessman anyway. So here's another thing that you can do. Like, you have to remember that commissions are based on time, right? So if you want to be smart about it, what you can do is something similar to like, here's a good example of this. So let's say J. Scott Campbell. So J. Scott Campbell, he does commissions and he gets work as an artist. But the other thing that he has also is he has an entire website where he just sells his art as prints and as merchandise, stuff that people actually want to buy and hang on their wall or, put on their phone as a phone case. And if you want to be really tricky about it, you can actually turn your art into a collector's item. Like, I've often thought about the idea of creating like some kind of universe or world that has specific characters in it, and you could create series out of those characters, right? And maybe there's a race of like alien warriors, for example, and you create a bunch of pieces of work and they're part of an exclusive series that you sell as prints or posters or in little booklets, like maybe little art. Like, you could do an entire art booklet of this specific race of aliens, and it's just really limited, basically. So it becomes in demand, and thus a collector's item as well. And you put that up on your website, and you sell that. You create an email list for your stuff, and you build a relationship with your audience, the people who love your work, who support your work, and you be there for them. You let them in on what it is you're working on next. And then you can do your own stuff. You can take your time with it. Like, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. You compile it into a book that you can sell, and then you let those copies just fly off the shelves, metaphorically speaking. Or literally speaking, if you're actually putting it into a bookstore, a brick and mortar bookstore. But hey, why not make this even more passive, right? Why publish anything in the first place? Like, what you could do is you could go ahead and you could create like little digital cards or tokens with these alien characters on them, and maybe you only open them up for sale once or twice a year. So again, you got that limitation there, you got that sense of urgency, and people collect these digital versions of your characters, and they're rare. And I guess that's what NFTs are, right? Is that what they were called? NFTs? That craze kind of came and went, didn't it? But a similar idea, yeah. There's definitely people who trade things like digital content online, and there's digital content online that, like, one of the ways in which I came across this stuff is there was this artist that I was following on Instagram, and he would just release these exclusive series of prints that would last a certain amount of time, and then he'd just lock them away when he was done selling them. But the thing is that he only has to like produce that artwork once, and if he wants to relaunch it again at a certain point and give people a second chance to check it out, then he can. But the thing is that he has complete control then over what he creates, how long it takes him to create, and how much he gets paid in the end. Because in my opinion, I think that money is very controllable. I think that it is a tap that you can turn on and off if you're smart about it. Now, clearly, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed when it comes to money because I'm not rich yet. But it's tends to be the attitude that I have toward it. That's why I don't worry about it too much when it comes to the amount of time that I spend on my art, because I figure it's kind of like karma. Like, you get out what you put in with this stuff. And if you're creating amazing work, you'll have opportunities come at you. All right. So let's take a look at some of the comments here. Madison popping into the chat. Can't see what you're saying though, Madison. All right. James says, Kaylin, have you tried online programs that are not too expensive, like the How to Draw Comics Academy or other places? You might want to try those first, unless you are set on going to art school. Yeah, for sure. Oh, great. It's good that you're taking Proco, Galen. Yeah, Proco is fantastic. He's a really good instructor. I love his stuff. And just honestly, you don't even need that many courses or lessons. Find a good series on the fundamentals of drawing, and you will be most of the way there. For sure. Madison says, thank you so much for the advice. It's nice to hear from another person's perspective. Thank you. I also am selling prints and posters on Etsy. See, Madison knows what it is about. Madison is an entrepreneur. Good stuff. Think like the collectible idea. Once again, thank you. You are very welcome, Madison. Thank you for tuning in and hanging out with us today. Man, I feel like I'm doing such a sloppy job on these flats, and that Sean is totally going to get on my case about it in our coloring lesson tomorrow. But that's okay. He can. I don't mind getting critique, actually. I like it, because I never know what I'm doing. I find a certain amount of comfort in getting advice from other people. And I just love putting out feelers and asking people what they think. Because my perspective is just one perspective, and it's a very biased one. So it's not something that I can count on 100% of the time. So what I tend to do is, whenever I want advice on something, or I really want the truth, and that's all I'm after, is I'm after the truth of whether or not something is going to work or is working. And that's another thing, like with the How to Draw Comics Academy, I do put out polls and surveys just to make sure everybody's happy, and I ask them what I could be doing better to serve them. Because if I just did what I think, I mean, maybe I'll hit a home run, but also maybe I won't. Maybe, like, I could be completely off base and I wouldn't know it. So as an artist, my advice to any aspiring artist out there is, if you want to get really good very quickly, put your artwork out there in like other artist groups. There's tons of them on Facebook. There's the giant How to Draw Comics community that we have. Or, of course, if you want something more specialized, you've got the How to Draw Comics Academy community, which is where I spend most of my time these days. And, I feel like I know everybody there. Like, I feel a bit more connected. It's more tight-knit. It's not super large. So I have the time to be able to actually go in there and not just comment on their work, but also give more in-depth feedback during our feedback sessions. But I think that's what is really required to grow as an artist. And you know what the best feedback is when you put your artwork out there on your social media one day and somebody actually hits you up and wants to hire you and is willing to pay you a reasonable amount of money for your time and talent. That's when you know that you're at a point where you are actually pretty damn good. You would have to be pretty damn good for them to be reaching out to hire you. So it's a really good benchmark. And if you find that you're just not getting work, like, the thing is that people always need artists, or want artists more commonly. Like, if we see something cool that we enjoy looking at, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna purchase it. Now you can see these statues in the background of the Dragon Ball Z characters. You know, they're I've got to save up a fair while to score one of those. And really, I'm just looking at it. You know, it's just there for show. But I really enjoy it, and it inspires me. And people buy art for the same reason. They buy comic books for the same reason. They want to be part of a story. They want to be part of that world. And so there's no shortage of people willing to pay you money for what it is you do. You've just got to be doing some cool shit, right? You got to be doing some amazing looking work in order for people to fork out their pennies, because they work hard for those pennies. They have a job just like you where they earn their money, and it's an amazing thing for them to love your work so much that they actually want to buy it from you, whether it's to hire you for the comic book project that they're putting together, or at a studio of some kind, or they want to hang your kick-ass work on their refrigerator. Not their refrigerator, come on. Let's say that they want to make it the centerpiece of their lounge room. You know, I was just the other day, I was actually on Etsy looking for some Frank Frazetta posters that I could hang up for inspiration around the place, but I couldn't really find any good ones, unfortunately. Like, I want a nice big one that I can look at and just disappear into. James says, on the getting work note, our fellow Academy member Edge, he got a contract to illustrate covers for books. I thought you might like hearing about that. James, dude, that is freaking amazing. What, we got people getting contracts in the Academy now? I love it. I mean, to be fair, Edge was already an amazing artist when he got in there. Well, what time is it? My goodness. I'm going for a little while now. We'll keep going. Yeah, Edge is just amazing. In fact, I was like, man, I got to get Edge in to do a class on one of it, like showing how he does his creatures. Good to see you, Woodrow. Thanks for being here. Always wonderful to see Woodrow pop up in the chat. Okay, comic artist JW, welcome, my friend. Wonderful to see you here. I'm pretty sure that you're in the Academy as well, right? The How to Draw Comics Academy. I feel like I saw your name pop up in there. Tell me if I'm mistaken, but I feel like I recognize your name. Yeah, you must be in there. Unless I'm creating false memories right now. All right, let's keep going here. I'm going to go ahead and fill in his pants. Yep, you are in the Academy. I knew it. I recognized your name. It's so cool to see artists who are in the How to Draw Comics Academy showing up here on the YouTube stream. It's like we get to hang out for even extra time. Now, I'll tell you what I normally do is I will trace around the edges of the section that I'm working in when I'm actually flatting in a smart manner. And this creates like a moat and an area that I can fill in. Or it creates a moat between the outer line and then the interior area that I'm going to fill in with color. So if I take the time to do this, just trace around the outside like so. Oh, hang on, let's drop even further down. We want to get his calf in there. Like, there's definitely faster ways I could be doing this flatting. It's just that I'm yammering on a bit. But hey, makes it more fun, actually, chilling out with you guys, doing this flatting business. Gotta love it. Practice makes perfect. And that's what I feel like I'm doing here as I stream. I'm just getting comfortable with this talking while working thing. Now check this out. Once I've traced around the outer inner edges of his leg like this, I can increase the size of my brush, blow it up, make it real big, and just boom, fill in that area like so. I don't have to worry about going outside the lines too much. There we have it. Now I have gone outside the lines here, so I'm going to erase that back. Now you have to shrink your brush back down when you're getting a little bit more delicate with this color moat. But then once that's all good to go, increase the size of your brush again and just fill it in. Galen says, what is the job success rate in the comics, the Comic Academy you offer? I don't know, actually. Well, that's the first I've heard, in fact. So we've been going for about a year, and Edge, one of our Academy members, has scored a gig doing book covers, which is really great. Now, as for other people, I'm not sure exactly. I haven't heard them necessarily talk about their work or the gigs that they get. But I can tell you one thing is that each and every one of them are making progress, at least those who are active within the community and are doing the feedback sessions and are there in the virtual classroom that we have. They're putting in the work, man, and they are reaping the rewards for it. I would say I'm seeing progress in their stuff anyway, and some of it is blowing me away. Like, wow, this stuff actually works. Like James, for example, who's in the chat, he's Arcadian Comics. I got to say that his artwork looks pretty darn different now in comparison to how it looked when he first came into the Academy. And you can ask him if you like, but I feel like it's just way more dynamic. He's got his anatomy down. He's getting his proportions tighter each and every time we see his work. Like the latest piece that he posted for our feedback session today was one of the most dynamic poses that I've seen him pull off. And just the structure, you can really see that the confidence behind his figure drawing is increasing bit by bit. And I can only imagine where James is going to be at a few months from now, a year from now. It will be really great, actually, James, if we can get a comparison of where your work was when you first joined the Academy and where it's at when we hit the 1 year mark. I think that'd be really cool to see that progress, because I know you are an example of someone who's really committed in there. But Caleb is another student actually within the Academy who seems to just really eat up the feedback and apply it to his work. And as a result, his sequentials have, in my opinion, just become way more dynamic every time we see them. So it's good. I think it's going to vary depending on who you are as an artist. Of course, if you jump into the Academy and you don't engage in the community and you don't come to class, you don't watch the classes, even when they go in on demand, then, I can't wave a magic wand, obviously, and just make you an amazing artist. Like, But I do think that I try my best to make sure that I install those mindsets into the students to ensure that they do understand, hey, like if you want gangster results, you got to do some gangster shit. You got to like actually go in there and put in the time. And yeah, of course, you will reap the benefits. I mean, having a place where you can get in-depth feedback on your work. And, we had a ton of students that we went through today in the feedback session. And I made sure that I gave every single one of them as much feedback as I possibly could. So sometimes we're spending like half an hour on a person's work, making sure that we iron out all the wrinkles within it and that I give them the maximum amount of feedback and insight that I can on their art. Woodrow says, Clayton is so damn good. My favorite character design sheet was done by Clayton. Is this Academy its own website? Yeah, it sure is. You can check it out in the description below. Woodrow, I've got a link to the landing page for it. But yeah, you log in. You actually log into howtodrawcomics.net, and it's basically got all the resources that the Academy offers at your disposal right there, all in one place. You get access to a community. You've got access to a giant vault of lessons and resources. We've also got another area, which is a learning program, which is a very tightly choreographed area where we organize the lessons to make sure that you've got a clear line of sight from start to finish, where to begin if you're a beginner and where to go if you're more advanced and intermediate. Okay. James says, I think I might do a video collage of my progress. Patience has been a hard thing to learn, but I've had to be more patient with myself. Just keep practicing. Absolutely, James. In fact, I have a video that I'm working on for the How to Draw Comics Academy that I've actually written up a full-blown script for, and it is all about patience. And I think it is probably the greatest skill that you'll ever develop as an artist. Delayed gratification is a skill actually that applies across the board in any area that you want to become very, very good in. And the thing is not many people have it. They want it right here, right now, and that's why their work never really gets to the heights that they're hoping it'll get to, unfortunately. Okay, so comic artist JW says, make me a better artist. Yeah, heck yeah, you'll become a better artist, don't worry. Galen says, how is How to Draw Comics Academy different from others like David Finch, Ryan Benjamin, and Proco? I think the biggest difference with the Academy is, well, there's actually not anything else there like it that I've come across. So you've got live classes every single week. That means you're actually showing up to class and you're hanging out with your peers, other students within the Academy, right then and there at a scheduled time. So if you find it difficult to make the time to draw, the Academy actually holds you accountable, right? So you feel compelled to actually sit there and not only start the lesson, but complete the lesson. And you follow along as you do it. And here's the best part is that because of the inbuilt community within the Academy, you take the work you do during those live lessons and then you post them into the Academy community. And then in the following feedback session, we got 2 of those a week now, I actually give you feedback on the work that you did during class so that you can refine it and get better. So it's a very interactive way of learning. You might be saying, well, I'm not going to be able to make it to the live classes, and that's fine too. We've got all of those classes are uploaded to the How to Draw Comics Academy vault. But the whole reason that I wanted to create the Academy is because, one, I think that online courses, that the biggest flaw that they have is they don't hold students accountable, and they don't offer enough feedback. They don't offer enough interaction, live interaction between the student and the instructor. And I think that that makes all the difference in the world, because I don't know when the last time was that you actually completed an online course that you could go through at your own pace, but it's been a while since I have. And any courses that I have purchased, maybe I'll watch a lesson or two from them, even if I really wanted to know about the topic, and I rarely complete them. So that's where I think the Academy is very different, is that it actually, like, and I personally send you an email. So I'm like, hey, guess what? Class is on. It's going to begin in an hour. And I've got a timetable for you as well, so you can see exactly what lessons are coming up and whether or not you even want to be there for that specific lesson, if it's a topic that you'd like to learn about. And so, if I think it'd be amazing if you could go to David Finch or Proco and get that kind of experience, but that it was missing. It was a gap in the market. That's why I created the Academy, because I saw it as the biggest. I saw it as something that could make the biggest difference out there for online learning, because it's no secret that online learning in general, the market has weakened. Unfortunately, people are tightening their belts, and they don't have a whole lot of time to actually commit to the courses that they're buying online, and so they're just not getting the results that they're looking for out of them. And in the end, at the end of the day, no matter what it is you're doing or how you're learning it, it's all about the results, right? And so if you're able to have that extra encouragement to actually attend the lessons, the classes that we've got going on in the Academy, and then you got the accountability of the other students and the other members within the How to Draw Comics Academy, you're being inspired by them as they're posting their work into the community. You're seeing them grow. You're seeing them get their work critiqued, and you yourself are getting your art critiqued. I mean, how much more support do you need than that when it comes to your learning? Like, it's the full package right there. Now, that level of commitment and that kind of accountability, that sort of engagement, that's pretty intimidating to some people out there. And so, if people aren't actually willing to put in the time and be there for that, and commit to their work and their progress and really mastering their craft, they're probably not going to be interested in the Academy. It's going to scare them off to realize, oh, damn, am I actually going to do this? Am I actually going to put the time in to practice my art and become the amazing artist that I think that I want to be? You have a bit of a moment of truth before you enter the Academy, I think. But if the answer is yes, if you actually do want to be that artist and you're committed to your dreams of, putting out that comic book that you've had cooking up inside your imagination since you're a teenager, or you want to create comic book art as a living, you want that to be your career, you want to do what you love every single day and get paid for it. If you're serious about that, and it's something that you want to do, like, you're just never going to be content until that happens, then I think there's no better place to be than the Academy, personally. And of course we get people who sign up who just, every time I hit people up who unsubscribe and ask them why, it's usually because they just don't have the time to commit to their art. And so I completely understand that. I think that with the Academy, we do our best to engage with the people who are a part of it, and we really try to make sure that they come to class and do the work. But at the end of the day, there's also going to be, it's also going to be on you. You know, we're doing this together. It's not just me pulling your weight. It's actually you as well. And if you're not prepared to go the whole mile, then who else is going to be, right? You've got to be your own cheerleader, because nobody else is going to want the success that you're hoping for as badly as you do. So if other things are getting in the way and you can't put aside the time to draw, then, I mean, that sucks, man. And that's tough. And I wish there was something I could do to help you out, but unfortunately, that is one thing that I can't give you. Okay, next up we have... All right, James says, smash that like button on this video. We have over 20 people watching. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm glad that people are dropping in and hanging out. Taroya, welcome. It's good to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure to see you pop up in the chat. I've missed you. Okay, and yeah, Taroya says, hold up now. What happened to my notifications? Anyway, hello everyone. Long time no see. Yeah, it has been a while. I'm back. I'm actually being productive. I also thought that I could create a little bit of accountability for myself this evening by just setting up a live stream and actually committing to it, telling people I was going to be on here, being productive. So here I am, doing my thing, chatting away as I do, hanging out with my peeps. And hey, we've actually made more progress than I thought we were going to make. Here I was thinking that this is going to take way longer, because that's just me. I just take forever to do things. I've been trying to be better at that, though. Look, I'm sure Sean will come in here and he'll add in his own base colors too. He might actually turn some of these sections into lights, I would say, but I'm going to give him a head start. I'm going to put in the basic colors, just the first pass of flats. Tomorrow's lesson is going to be a lot of fun, though. Me and Sean have been talking about it a little bit, and he's got some cool stuff planned. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is actually what you need to keep in mind when it comes to coloring male comic book characters specifically. And what else did he tell me? He actually had a few things that he suggested. So he's gone ahead, and we're going to be also talking about using overlay pattern photo textures and displacement maps to blend the shading together. So we were thinking of giving him camo pants, actually, so that should be fun. And also how to tighten up penciled line art when it's not inked, so it's more usable. So yeah, stuff like that. But of course, you'll get to see Sean's process unfold, which is, I think, just so freaking valuable. Yeah, if you're enjoying this stream, be sure to hit the like button and share it. Get it out there on the socials, on the interwebs, and tell people about it. Yeah, the thing I love about doing something that's as chill as laying down flats is you really do get to relax. You can switch off your brain a little bit and just listen to some cool music. You know, turn on a playlist that you enjoy and embrace it. That's another thing related to patience, actually, and how you develop patience, is you need to accept that whatever it is you're working on, it's going to take some time. It's probably going to take some time if it's any good. So, just go in there, do the work, and keep at it until it's diddly done. I've got to practice that from time to time too, because it's a habit. It's just like any other muscle that you build through repetition. It's always going to feel a little uncomfortable at first. And sometimes you'll have to stretch your focus muscles and prime them up. But the thing is that this is how stuff gets done. And unless you've got that ability to be disciplined, to sit down and to make it happen and just accept that you're going to be there for a while, you'll find that you just never really make a whole lot of progress. And the progress that you do make is probably going to be rushed because you've got to, the due date has rolled around and it's time to get it in. You don't have time to mess about no more. So you basically just you cut as many corners as you can to get there. And James is right. You do have to learn patience over time, and it can be very difficult to actually, especially if you're not super well versed in it. And hey, I have my times of very little patience. Let me tell you something. There's a great little quote that you can replace done not perfect with. And it goes like this: slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Okay, and what that means is that if you do it right the first time around, you won't, it'll be much quicker that way than having to go back and redo it. Or, let's say that you're somebody who rushes your artwork and it's just taken you forever to actually get paid for it because you can't spend enough time on it to actually get anything good placed onto the page. Well, that's going to be a slow process for you to be able to build your way up to a point where you're able to earn a decent amount of money working at your craft. And so slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So you take the time to get really good. You build up your skill set. You aim for the moon, and every time you draw after a while, you fall among the stars. Is that it? Or does you aim for the stars and you fall on the moon? I don't know, one of those. Anyway, you aim high, you're going to land high. And, that's a much better attitude to have. Now, that quote that I just told you, that comes from the Navy SEALs. So those guys know their stuff, right? They know what they're talking about. Galen says, what type of equipment do I need to attend the academy? Digital or pencil? Do you also teach how to develop a portfolio for applying for jobs? We might at some point, Galen, for sure, in regards to the portfolios and applying for jobs. We haven't done any lessons on that yet, but we'll definitely add it to the list. So there's actually a whole business category within the academy that I want to get into at a certain point, but we do need to teach people the fundamental skills to be able to draw in the first place, right? And so we're getting through that lot of lessons before we lean more into the business stuff, and building a decent portfolio will definitely be one of those. But if you want a place to start with your portfolio, what I would suggest is just create an Instagram account. That's where I'm getting a lot of my traffic from at the moment, and start posting up your progress. Doesn't matter if it's not to the standard that you want it to be at yet. Let people in on the challenges you're facing right now, and ask questions about how you can be better. What do they get your audience involved? What do they think of the work that you're producing? Because that's your first form of marketing, essentially. That's your first representation of your portfolio, and you really want to let people in on that process, because I got to tell you that I get way more attention on my works in progress than I do on my final artworks, than I do on my final pieces. It's kind of crazy. But people love the half-finished stuff more, oftentimes, than they do the finished stuff. As for equipment, you can use a pencil or you can work digitally. Now, for this lesson that we're going to be doing tomorrow with Sean Ellery, he's a digital colorist, and most coloring is done digital. for comic book illustration. So in that case, you're going to need a tablet or a mouse. You know, Sean Ellery, he still uses a mouse to color, or and just a basic PC, right? You don't need to be fancy when it comes to coloring. But yeah, when it comes to the drawing stuff, you can use a pencil, you can work digitally, really doesn't matter, because if you know proportions as a traditional artist, then you know proportions as a digital artist too. It applies across the board. And the thing is, what I will say, Galen, is guess what, man? It's like $13 a month to join the How to Draw Comics Academy, which is actually nothing in comparison to everything you get. So I would say just check it out. Subscribe for a month, take advantage of everything the Academy has to offer. And if it's not for you, just cancel your subscription before it the next charge rolls round. I've purposefully put the Academy at a super low price. And by the way, everybody keeps telling me, they're like, Clayton, you could be charging $500 a month for this. What are you talking about? Like, this is not just courses here. This is mentoring. This is coaching. Like my friend's really into this online entrepreneurial stuff. And he's like, dude, you should be, he's talking about the 500s, the 1000s. I'm like, bro, nobody can afford that. No comic book artist that I know can afford that per month. You are talking about very rich people. All I would be getting in the Academy if I charged that much would be like retirees with excess cash who never got to fulfill their dreams as a comic book artist. So, I thought about when I was figuring out how much to charge with the Academy, and I've tried out a few pricing plans, but I thought the way in which I approached it is I thought back to when I was a 14-year-old kid, really wanting to learn how to draw comics. And that's the thing. I've been where every comic book artist is, on the road to mastery. I still am. And I tried to figure out what would be affordable to me. What would I be able to invest in that either I would be able to and willing to put forward, or my parents would think that it's a great idea and actually pay for the subscription for me. And I thought, look, $13 a month. I mean, that's like a slightly expensive fast food meal per month. I mean, people's subscriptions to Netflix cost more than that. Look, at that point, if you're not willing to invest in your passion for that small amount of money, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. But people will go out there and they'll blow like $90 to $100 on a new Xbox game or PlayStation video game, and something that actually takes away time from them drawing. And it's like if this is really your passion, you got to make it a priority. At least that's the way I see it anyway. What I'm going to remember, and I often think about this, I'm a weird dude, okay? I think about these crazy scenarios. Like when I'm on my deathbed and I think back to really what mattered in my life, what I value the most, I can tell you one thing. The heights to which I took my ability as a comic book artist, it's going to be one of the things that sit with me when I'm on my deathbed. It's one of the things that I'm going to think about a lot. I'm going to think about my family and my friends, but I'm also going to think about the other thing that's very intimate and very close to me, which is my passion for drawing. Am I going to remember the Netflix series that I binged? Am I going to remember the cool video games I played? Maybe Half-Life. I really like Half-Life. And I'll remember Dragon Ball Z probably. I'll be like, yeah, that was pretty good. That was very inspiring. But it's not going to matter anywhere. Like the amount of money that I have in my account, it's not going to matter. None of that's going to matter. What will matter is the things that I leave behind. It's not going to be anything that I consumed for myself. It's going to be the things that I leave behind, which is my art and my family, my friends. That's what I'm going to be thinking about first and foremost is what did I give to the world? Now for me, one of the reasons as to why I teach more than I actually create comics these days is because what's important to me is that I'm able to pass on the abilities and skills that I have to other people so that they can go out there and create comic books that look amazing. And that's what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about all the artists out there who I helped achieve their dreams and the joy that they put in the hearts of other people through what they created with those skills. You know, it's personal to everybody. You have to figure out what drives you and what's most important to you, I think, in this life, and then never betray that, because it'll leave you feeling very unfulfilled when all is said and done, when the game is up, when the jig is up, right? All right. So James says some students are using drawing tablets, display tablets, or traditional with pencil and paper. Cool. Galen says every penny counts. Just making sure it's all right for me with all the questions. No, totally. Ask away. I love answering these questions. I want to tell people about the academy and what's in store, because some people out there just they don't actually realize what the academy is or what's offered in it, and some people think it's just a regular course. James says the weekly feedback and critique sessions are worth so much. It really is the greatest value. Comic Artist JW says, when are you coming out with how to draw books? Man, that's something I've been thinking about a lot, actually, JW. I think that once we really fill out the How to Draw Comics Academy library with as many classes and lessons as possible, one thing that I would love to do is really start spending some time creating some definitive art booklets or full-blown art volumes of knowledge where I really break down just the anatomy of the human body in a way that makes sense, and where I get really granular with the way in which I approach the comic art creation process, because I'm a much better writer than I am a speaker, and I think most people are when they can sit down and organize their thoughts. And of course, there's only so much that I can do with the actual demonstrations as well. Like they're usually going to be pretty rough and unrefined, except for like this was a workshop that I did where we spent probably 4 sessions creating this character from the ground up. And but for a regular lesson where I'm teaching anatomy and stuff, it's like I'm sketching out the anatomy and you're seeing exactly where it all goes, but it's not super sharp and refined. And that's one thing that I'd love to offer in the academy one day, is not just books but references as well. Okay, so Galen says, how long does the 50% sale last? It's lasting for now until I decide to take it down. I haven't got a set date as to when it's not going to last anymore. Galen says, why pay when I can take your course for free? Paid my VA. When I can take your course for free, paid by the VA? Don't have an app, Galen. I mean, I've definitely detailed out what the Academy offers. So that's the biggest reason as to why you should jump in there instead of just doing a course. Because, at the end of the day, I'm not really there to give you the level of engagement or attention outside of the Academy. That's what I would say there. James says, I would recommend a trial of the Academy to get an idea of what it takes to do the work, practice, and upskill. At $13 a month, it's a great value. How to draw books would probably be pretty popular. Thanks, Woodrow. I really appreciate that. Guys, give me your thoughts on how to draw books, because I'm not sure what people are looking for when it comes to education sometimes, in terms of what they prefer between books and courses. Now, I'm a fan of books, right? I love, yeah, I'm going to make myself nice and big here for a second. I love references as well, because the thing that I've noticed, especially with my brother Corey, is that he will actually download the illustrations that I do here, like of these characters, right? I'll get them up again. And he'll use them for reference so that he knows how to do the anatomy of his characters. So I thought anatomy references is probably a really great thing to introduce. But the reason that I love books is because you go to the table of contents and you can look up exactly what it is you want to learn about, what it is you want to see as an example, and you just go to that page and boom, it's there. You can look at it. You don't have to sit through a 3 or 4 hour course to get what it is you want, right? So that's one of the advantages I think that books have. Also, I feel like I would just be able to produce something that I'm much happier with when it comes to the teaching aspect of it. So, Galen, it says $13 a month, but it has me paying 27. So you have to apply the coupon code, right? You know, the 50% off discount, and so it's $13 a month, $27 a month, right? So 13 is half of 27, roughly, give or take. And that's, I'm saying $13 a month because you get the 50% discount. Yeah, so Galen says paid by Veteran Affairs. Gotcha. Yeah. Look, I think you've got to figure out for yourself whether or not it's for you. If you go to the How to Draw Comics Academy, which I know you're at, the actual landing page, you'll see in more detail exactly what's offered there. Sphinx says, to me, a book is always better. Look, I'm going to put this over here. Sphinx says, to me, a book is always better, but the good online course is of the same value. Do you work on any comics right now? Haven't been working on any comics at the moment. We've got Borok that's kind of halted in production. Corey and I were thinking about creating a comic book called Alpha City, which might still happen. It's just that, like I said, a lot of my time is spent in the How to Draw Comics Academy. Like today, we did a 5-hour feedback session. And I'm jumping on here tonight to actually do this stream. But yeah, between the editing and the sessions that we're doing in the How to Draw Comics Academy, not a whole lot of time to actually work on a comic book, but I am planning on trying to set aside that time. Now, Sphinx, wow, I can't believe that that's your opinion too. And it's so valuable to get that from you, to know that a book, a How to Draw book, would actually be something that you'd find helpful. So thank you for that, because I'm genuinely going to contemplate this, because if I could pick between doing courses and doing books for drawing comics, I would do books. It's just that it seems like to me that people find courses more engaging, and classes, and actually being able to see it demonstrated. And I know that people always like, well, why don't you offer both? And it's because, well, creating both is actually would be extremely time consuming for one person to do. So I'll tell you the coupon right now, actually, Galen. So if I go to Academy, I'm just trying to remember what the code is. So actually, I'll share the screen here. All right. Then I'll turn this off. So check this out, Galen. If you scroll down to the bottom, right here, so all you got to do is grab this Academy Special code. So you click that, Academy Special, Control C, if you want to just paste it in there. Select the monthly membership. And what you can do is over here, it says enter coupon code. So you just click that. And then, boom, coupon code. With it applied, it ends up being $13.50. There you go. It's 50 cents off. Right? So yeah, and then you just you order it after that, and that'll allow you to apply that discount. Awesome, Galen. I'm so happy to hear that. And remember, look, if you enjoy it, we're happy to have you. Like, definitely stay for as long as you like if you're getting some value out of it. And if you find out that it's not for you, just jump out at the end of the month. It's no sweat at all. The Academy is going to be for some people. It's not going to be for others. We got to make sure it's a great fit for everyone, right? Who's involved. And so definitely, I can't wait to see you make your first post in the How to Draw Comics Academy community, to check out your artwork, and especially to give you some feedback in our next feedback session if you're able to get it up before then. I think that the more that you can engage with the community and attend those live classes, the better it's going to be. And you really will make it to that next Jack Kirby level. Yeah, let her know. See what she reckons. Look, if she loves you and she respects your passion, I'm sure she won't mind. We'll see. I might be eating my words after that. But I think we'll leave it there for this evening, my friends. And it is the evening over here in Australia, where I am situated. Some people say I have an American accent. I don't know what you Americans think about that. Some people say that I do. I think it's from watching too many American cartoons when I was growing up. That's the only way I could explain that particular phenomenon. But it has been so much fun to hang out with everybody here and to just touch base with the YouTube crowd once again. We got to do more of these. What do you reckon? What kind of stream would you like me to tackle next? I think we'll do this again real soon. It's been too enjoyable not to. Hey, no worries, Galen. You're very welcome. And hey, thank you for asking those questions. Very valid questions that I was more than happy to unpack. And I'm glad that you decided to take a chance on the Academy. I don't think you'll regret it. I really don't. Madison says, thanks for the advice. No worries, Madison. You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. And as I said before, if you did get some value out of this stream, be sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends, especially the arty friends. And yeah, we'll catch you back here again next time, real soon, hopefully. Until then, take care, keep on practicing, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye for now.